Welcome back to Beyond Classified. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Tonight, my guest is Ken Swartz. He's the founder and chief science officer of C60 Purple Power, a health and wellness company committed to delivering the highest quality C60 products available. He has run several research science laboratories over the course of his career and discovered C60 while developing the Moxie fusion reactor. During his research, he became aware of the powerful radical neutralizing properties of C60, and he began using it as a radiation protectant while participating in a fusion reactor project. He noticed after taking C60 for a couple of months, not only was it protecting him from radiation, it was improving his overall health. In 2016, he founded C60 Purple Power. Ken, welcome back, and how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good on this cold night.
It is. It's extremely cold. I walked outside earlier and couldn't take much of that stuff, so I had to come back in. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Every time, it's always great to talk with you because we can not only talk about C60, but so many of the other topics I cover on my show, down to the most fringiest topics. But tonight, we're going to talk a little bit why it's so important for you to take back control of your health this year, especially, and how last year was tough for a lot of people. Caused a lot of stress, but C60 Purple Power is one of those things that can help. We're going to also be discussing some lesser known information about my new hometown of Denver, surrounding areas. But yeah, like I was saying, last year was extremely stressful for a lot of people, and I don't see this year getting any easier in any way. But there are ways that we're going to talk about to kind of combat the effects of the stress we're seeing. But do you see this year getting any easier on folks, or do you think we'll see kind of more of the same stress, maybe even a little bit more?
I don't think it's going to get any better. It's, they're going to play this lockdown game and all the rest of it. And you have to just realize that, the powers that be have this, they've got the damage is done. And they can, we're going to slowly, reduce lockdown or whatever. But it's just people just have to say, screw it basically and start resuming their lives as best they can in a normal level. Because I think by now people are realizing, if they've studied it, what's really going on about the whole situation. And really it's up to you. I mean, you can either, live in cowardly fear or turn off the damn television and start having your life again.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And one of the things that I did is, I started taking better care of myself. First of all, I started eating better and started using C60. Now, I don't know if it was meant for stress or, but that is one of the benefits is I feel like I've had less stress in my life since I've started taking it. I don't know if that is a known side effect, but is C60 good for stress for people?
Oh yeah, it's definitely it definitely helps in that matter. It seems to improve brain chemistry. A lot of people that talk about it, they said they've been depressed for years. They take C60 for the first time, they're not depressed for a while. And so it has that. Now, part of that there's two things in that, like that side of things. It's the inflammation. When you have inflammation, one of the like, let's say there's two types of acute inflammation, right? Let's say you mess up your knee or your ankle or something, right? Now, nature has a thing where you get the swelling, you get the redness, it kind of immobilizes it. And then there's another thing nature has that's programmed into us, and that is dopamine suppression. Dopamine is kind of like the motivation molecule, the happy molecule, gets you up out of the bed in the morning and gets you walking around the house. And if you're injured, got acute injury, that nature doesn't want you doing that. The body, so they have a system that when you have inflammation, it represses dopamine production. So instead of getting up and walking around just as your knee's swollen and it's hard to move, well, it gets the dopamine production goes down there. So you just kind of lie around until you can get healed, right? And then the inflammation goes away, your dopamine production goes back up, and then you're back up living your life, in the natural world. But of course, today's, because people live a lot longer and there's all kinds of toxins, we get chronic inflammation, like underlying inflammation. It could be the food you're eating, your leaky gut. There's just dozens of sources of inflammation. And what happens is you got that same dopamine suppression. So a lot of people take C60 says, well, I started doing the things I used to do before, because it gets rid of that low underlying inflammation, which you might not even know you have, which is actually the cause of, let's say, your lack of motivation and lying around.
Now, speaking of inflammation, one of the other unknown side effects that I experienced was I had some, I guess you could call it inflammation in the gums. It hasn't happened since I've done this, but I had a toothache for a few days, and I used C60, swished around with it, and it's gone now. I don't know if that's another no, if it's just the inflammation that it was helping with or what, but it was amazing. I just had to use it one or two times, and it worked.
Oh yeah, C60 has great for gums. A lot of people swish around before they swallow it, and that just, the C60, you can absorb a lot of substances through your mouth and there, because it's easy, it's very thin and permeable. And so when you do that, but it also goes into those tissues and strengthens the tissues in the same way topically. And it's also good topically. Let's say you've got a burn or an insect bite. It's really great, like a mosquito bite. You put it on mosquito bites, about 20 minutes later, the itching goes away. So it does that inflammation action. It basically, inflammation is caused by damage is caused by whatever is causing damage, puts out free radicals, oxidative radicals, right? They go out, then they'll activate the macrophages and some other nerves, other immune cells. And then, they're having this, then the macrophages put out cytokines, and then that brings in the neutrophils and you get the whole swelling and all that. Well, C60 gets rid of the oxidative radicals before that whole thing goes off, and also the oxidative radicals of some of the nerve cells. Then you don't get the huge giant response. A lot of people have allergies. The allergies go way down or away after a while of taking C60. And a lot of this stuff won't happen overnight. And the other thing, C60 doesn't really heal anything. What C60 does, it lifts the oxidative burden the cells are under, and then the body does the healing. That's the secret of it all.
And another thing is we kind of briefly touched on is the amount of energy that I'm having during the day. It can be if I notice it sometimes if I take a little bit too much C60, I might might keep me up a little bit later at night, but it's a good thing. I have this energy during the day, and when I actually do sleep, it's really good sleep. I'll sleep all throughout the night, but that's another one of the effects that I've felt is much boosted energy during the day.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things. It's probably taking it in the morning is a good idea. And then
Yes, definitely.
because it has a stimulatory effect, so it gets you up, gets you going, you're doing your stuff. And because if you take it too late in the evening, it can keep you up a little bit.
Yeah, I have noticed that, but it's kind of a good thing to if you take it in the morning, gives you a little pep in your step. I find especially after taking it for a couple of weeks or a month, you start to feel that kind of energy boost daily whenever you take it.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sometimes people use the paleo coffee thing, put the C60 in their coffee in the morning, but sometimes if you take it C60, you might not need
Yeah,
that
I
coffee.
really did. I find I don't drink coffee anymore. Like I would occasionally, I wasn't a big coffee drinker before, but I would occasionally drink it if I was feeling groggy. But no need for it anymore, really. I just wake up, take my couple of tablespoon of C60, and I'm good. It's great for energy. And like I said, sleep. Even though sometimes if you take a little bit during the day, a bit later it might keep you up, but I have been sleeping a lot better too. It's like I feel like I've just burned up that energy during the day, and then at night I can relax and have a nice sleep.
Yeah, that's something that can do. And another thing I just want to say, C60 doesn't replace like good nutrition, exercise, all those avoiding bad habits, all those
Definitely.
things. Those are really important too. And it's about taking control of your health. C60 is one of those things, and especially now these days. Look, you're not. They really are. You're not going to help you. You want to prevent getting sick before it happens. And there's a lot of things, like I used to be a teacher years ago, and like taking vitamin D with vitamin K, 5,000 to 10 IU's. Uh, you know, that's just something, because in the sunlight, that's why people get sick in the wintertime. They're not getting vitamin D. Vitamin D is so critical. Like over 500 key biological processes in your body need it. So just if you take that, that's why people, it's caused by sunlight on your skin. People are inside like now when it's really cold. You can't really, and the fluorescent lights or whatever is in your building aren't going to really give you that vitamin D. So you really need to supplement during the winter with a little bit of vitamin K, because it helps vitamin D work better.
Now, we talked a little bit how it can be beneficial for eyesight. Now, I've always had really good vision, and I've noticed, since I've been taking C60 almost a year now, I haven't had any declination, and I did a little vision test earlier, and everything seems perfect right on. You said didn't it help with someone that you know is a macular degeneration?
Oh, yeah. With mine, I had DREWS is the name of it, or what they call
Right,
dry
your
macular
own too. Yeah.
degeneration. And I wasn't even expecting it, but it just basically went away after about 7 months of using it. I went to my eye doctor and was gone. And then my friend Gary Rodriguez, he was the engineer on the Moxie fusion reactor project. And by that time, he had developed like severe wet macular degeneration. And it took him about a tablespoon a day for about a year, and it went away. In fact, we have a little show called the C60 Show on YouTube. Our channel C60 Purple Power, and the show Eyes on C60. You can actually see his before and after pictures. He had all these lesions on his eyes, and they're time date stamped. And then after about a year, they were all gone, which is impossible. And he was an engineer, so if you can't see, you can't really do your job. So yeah, it just does that because it gets in there and it really good. And actually the retina is an extension of the nerve cells from your brain. And that's another thing why, people take, here's this lesions go away in your retina. Well, that same sort of healing power would be in your brain if you were taking C60, because C60 passes the blood-brain barrier.
Now, another side effect that I believe we've briefly spoken about before, and it's something that, the older folks would love, is you get a little bit more pep in your sex drive. Is that something that people have
Oh,
reported?
yeah, and that's one of the things. Yeah, increase in libido, and part of that is when you take C60, the C60 is quickly taken up by the mitochondria, and that's the powerhouses of your cell. So they're making the ATP, which is all the energy for it. But the other thing mitochondria do, well, they do several things, but another major thing they do is they produce pregnenolone, which is the precursor molecule for all the hormones. So when you're taking C60, as we get older, a lot of the antioxidants that the larger cell provides the mitochondria go down. So the mitochondria, they're self-regulating little bodies in there. They have to tune down their energy level and correspondingly. So when you get C60, it replaces any of the missing antioxidants like SOD or catalase. And so your mitochondria can go full bore. And so you get all the pregnenolone, and then the pregnenolone is turned into whatever hormones that you need. Like if it's in the pituitary, for instance, you get the melatonin, that's your sleep increase. You've got, or the pineal, sorry, is the sleep and melatonin sleep increase. The pituitary gland, that's the human growth hormone, and just gobs of other hormones, and that's the hypothalamus pituitary complex there. It produces vast numbers. It's like the master gland. And then and also you get down to the adrenals, which produce the androgens, which are produced either to testosterone or estrogen, or progesterone, depending on what sex you are. And so that's, yeah, so it's basically your hormone level returns like when you were much younger, 10 to 20 years younger. And of course, when you were 10 to 20 years younger, things were a little more vigorous.
Yeah, I bet, especially for some of the older folks, it's great to know that C60 could give them a little pep and a few extra steps there. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's a great thing. So, what else could we tell the audience, that is maybe on the fence about trying C60? Maybe they're saying, well, it looks expensive. They go to the website and see the price of everything. I always tell them, what's your health worth to you? What would you tell those people?
Well, I mean, high purity C60 is more expensive by weight than gold. And that's just part of the way it is. And that adds a lot of the cost. And you get what you pay for too. If you're going to have full quality, full levels, there may be bargain basements out there, but you get what you pay for. And pretty much all the legitimate producers, produce a quality product. But yeah, how much is your health worth? And one of the things is, you can do everything you can do, eat organic, you can, avoid, bad habits, and drink clean water and do everything. But, there's always going to be something, maybe you go out to eat, you don't know, there was glyphosate in one of those things that you ate. And that, that causes inflammation in the gut. And there's the various electromagnetic radiations. I mean, electromagnetic radiation is 1 billion times higher in the environment than it was during our ancestors' times. And so you just have all these little sources of inflammation and oxidative damage. And so C60 kind of just covers that. And the big thing is when, it was discovered in 1985, they got a Nobel Prize in 1996. And when they went around finally to testing it for toxicity, they found out that the amazing thing, it doubled the lifespan of test animals, basically some rats, and it did it by completely preventing the occurrence of cancers, cognitive decline, and other diseases associated with aging, at least aging in rats, which is similar to what humans did. And that's what C60 is. It kind of prevents those problems before they happen, so you don't have to do. Like for me, I was worried about losing my vision because of macular degeneration. Sure, it wasn't that bad, but it was getting a little bit worse every year, and now I don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of there's a little bit of freedom of fear from it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information. You can go to our website, you can link to research, or you can go on your own and you kind of look at the research out there and the health research. And there's only really one type of C60, and that's C60 dissolved in an oil. That's the only kind that has health benefits. There's a lot of things that they have. You can read these studies where C60 isn't very effective, or maybe even has negative ones. What they don't tell you is they have particles of C60, right? Of thousands or tens of thousands. They're nanoparticles, right? Of C60, just like titanium nanoparticles or silicon nanoparticles. Dissolved silica is a necessary nutrient for health. But if I ground up a bunch of little tiny glass and put it in nanoparticle glass, it's going to mess you up. So you got to make sure what you're reading, that you've got dissolved C60 dissolved in a liquid, in this case oils, because that's the only effective. The other stuff isn't going to do you any good. A lot of times people say they have it in water. Well, usually that's just particles of C60 suspended in water, right? Just kind of, they're so small, they just float there. And that's not going to help you either. And when you look at a C60 product, like when you dissolve C60 in coconut oil, it turns it a purple color. That's why C60 purple power. I just kind of named it after the color. If you dissolve it in like a tan of olive oil or avocado oil, it turns it an amber color. So you can literally just look at your product and know whether it's good or not. You don't need sophisticated testing. You just have to have your eyes and recognize the color.
And also, one more thing before we move on, C60 is also great for pets, right?
Oh yeah, we do it for pets, especially the really older ones. And that's when you take in C60, like if you're a person in your 30s, maybe a teaspoon a day might do for you, especially for a woman a little bit smaller. If you're a big guy, maybe 2 teaspoons. But so that's about it for like average body weight. But when you get older, the antioxidants your body produce go less. So in my age, in the gray hair age, it's about a tablespoon a day. So, but that's where really C60 comes into forefront. Because when you're in your 20s or 30s, you're still pretty vigorous. You got everything going. When you get a few gray hairs and you get older, you get the aches and pains, everything slows down. Take C60, those aches and pains go away, and you get this, you speed up again. You start kind of living life. And that's good, with the animal studies. These animals, they had mice studies, the same thing. They just live long, healthy lives till they got kind of near their expiration date and went over the edge.
Yeah, you guys definitely need to check this out. Go to c60purplepower.com. You can click the link in the description. If that link doesn't work, just go to their website and use coupon code knowledge10. You're going to get 10% off your order plus free shipping. You really don't want to miss out on this stuff. It will change your life around, especially if you're at that gray hair age like we were just talking about. So, yeah, check that stuff out. Now, tonight, we're also going to discuss some of my new towns, oddities, and underground type conspiracies. One of the biggest ones is the airport. I have yet to visit the airport myself. We keep planning to make a trip out there, but definitely going to be doing it soon because the airport is definitely a fascinating place. It's mysterious. There's so many conspiracy theories surrounding it. Especially the biggest, that there's underground military bases and all kinds of shadow government goings on under there. But have you had any multiple experiences at the airport? Have you crossed through there often?
Well, I'll tell you this, one of the stories about the airport, and I've had friends actually go down underneath the airport in those tunnels and everything.